Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're unpacking the most important overlooked truths about Nicole Brown Simpson, according to the Lifetime documentary series The Life and Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson.
As she was learning how to be who she was murdered.
In death, Nicole has become something of a mythical victim whose life story is retold for her without always taking her recorded accounts into consideration.
I honestly believe that this world does not know who Nicole Brown was.
Meanwhile, most of the media attention has historically been granted to her alleged killer, ex-husband O.J. Simpson, who very publicly spun the entire tragedy into a mockery. In the mid-90s, the crime and trial captivated millions of viewers around the globe who were appalled to see an American football hero tied up in a double homicide case.
A man widely admired in this country is now caught in the web of a terrible tragedy.
The even more shocking not guilty verdict and O.J.'s post-trial antics set the nation ablaze, further spotlighting the man who many believed had gotten away with murder. Unfortunately, during the entire circus, much of Nicole's personhood became lost in the mix. That is, until now.
Maybe it's time to rekindle the flame of Nicole.
Through conversations with loved ones who knew her best, The Life and Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson finally grants us a closer look at Nicole, the mother, daughter, and friend, not just the victim.
No one should be remembered for their last moments, their last hours, their last day. Everyone should be remembered for all that went before that.
With the news of O.J.'s passing recentering him in the headlines just before the release of the series, it's time the narrative finally shifts to Nicole. So here are the most intriguing details we learned about her life, the tumultuous relationship with O.J. according to her secret diaries, and what led to her tragic death. Nicole's true legacy was tarnished. Part of the defense team's bid to exonerate O.J. meant controlling the jury's idea of Nicole. Although the defense lawyers didn't set out to vilify her, they built their case on the notion that she was an active participant in the violent scuffles with O.J.
It wasn't kind of one person dominates and the other person is submissive. They were both very forceful type people.
Although this goes against countless eyewitness testimonies, police records, and evidence presented by prosecutors, the narrative stuck. Nicole was smeared in the news as a party girl who had affairs and received numerous abortions.
The evidence will be these ladies would go out 2, 3, 4 nights a week and stay out till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Her identity was picked apart and flaws were invented to manipulate public opinion.
Nicole's writing is large and rounded. Someone who writes this way needs attention and approval.
Although much of this character assassination was a result of the defense team's callous fables, some of the general public was also willing to hop on the Nicole hate train because of their love for O.J. and the tension that was still simmering post-LA riots. The rumor mill even produced a theory that her death was a result of her hanging around drug dealers.
There was such an injustice in how they were painting her as this party girl. They were painting her as this person that she was not.
It's vital now to take a more accurate look back at who Nicole really was in order to dismantle this vicious campaign and restore her true humanity. Nicole was a girl's girl. Nicole was raised in a household full of girls and learned from an early age the value of supporting other women. She bonded especially closely with her older sister Denise, with whom she was moved from West Germany to the United States by their parents. Though entering a new country's school system would seem difficult to navigate, the sisters persevered by leaning on each other.
I was a senior and she was a junior. And everybody thought, oh, that's going to be so difficult for the girls. And I don't know, it wasn't difficult for us, and I think it was because we had each other.
The duo's younger siblings, Dominique and Tanya, would be born soon after.
We come from a really kind of a perfect family. We're really blessed to have the family that we did.
Nicole even had 2 half-sisters from her father's previous marriage, Wendy and Margaret. This deep love for her sisters transformed into a deep love for her girlfriends later in life. In the series, a number of her closest friends speak out about how fiercely she stood by them.
She was super loyal, and she was your friend for life.
She was so inviting and so lovely and just so airy and so natural.
When one of her best friends, Faye Resnick, was struggling with substance use disorder, she insisted on getting her into treatment and supporting her on the road to recovery.
She loved me. She wanted me to be healthy.
Nicole said, okay, we are going to go visit Faye and make sure that somebody's there for her every day.
Nicole was a wonderful stepmom. Many don't realize that Nicole was actually involved in the lives of O.J.'s kids from his previous marriage. Although she was incredibly young at the time, she took on the part of stepmother with grace.
She's a great stepmom.
O.J.'s daughter Arnell was less accepting of Nicole, but his son Jason latched onto her. Because Jason didn't get along with O.J., Nicole stepped into the protector role.
She would go up and give him big hugs and kisses and, you gotta try and understand your dad.
Throughout the series, family friends comment on how Nicole went out of her way to make sure Arnell and Jason felt welcomed and loved in their home. Nicole met O.J. at a young age. When Nicole first laid eyes on O.J., she was a young waitress at the Daisy, a nightclub he frequented in Beverly Hills. Nicole was just 18 to O.J.'s 30, and loved ones recall being put off by how obsessive he had already become.
He kept coming in and seeing her, and he had this obsession about her.
According to a family friend, Nicole had come back from their first date with her jean zipper torn off. Sadly, this would kick off a pattern of red flags.
And I said, Nicole, what happened to you? He got a little forceful, and I said, why would you let him do that to you?
Nicole insisted she was in love, head over heels for this celebrity who had taken an interest in her.
She's just a girl from Laguna that met a guy that swept her off her feet. They fell in love.
The context of their meeting and her naivety allowed O.J. to force his way into her life, where he would assert a disturbing level of control. Nicole's image was tightly managed. Years before Nicole's image was controlled by the vulture-like media, it was controlled by O.J.
Just over the course of a month or two, he had just brought her in and turned her into like a starlet.
As a public figure, O.J. was keen to have this bombshell arm candy by his side, but this meant that Nicole would have to carry herself in a very particular way.
O.J. taught me how to hold my mouth when pictures were being taken, and how to hold my head, and how to stand and present myself.
It became clear to those close to her that she was being molded by him, and this control over Nicole even spilled over to her family, with O.J. insisting that all the women, including her mother Judy, had to have manicures and pedicures at all times.
She'd say, O.J. would hate to look at my toes right now. They're not painted right or something. And I go, what?
This domineering force was applied to absurd degrees, even when Nicole was pregnant with their first child.
He would always say, you've got such a fat ass, why don't you go on a diet? She was pregnant.
Reportedly, O.J. also forbade Nicole from giving birth naturally or nursing.
She said he wanted her to keep the same body that she had.
Nicole's marriage hinged on a fairy tale. Sadly, the physical abuse started very early in their relationship. Although she articulated her frustrations to both O.J. and her family, Nicole was willing to stick by him for many years. She dreamed of a fairy tale wedding, a beautiful home, and a lovely marriage. But this may have simply been a coping mechanism to distract herself from the reality of their situation.
Nicole was under this illusion that Simpson's going to get baptized and he's going to be a different person. So much had already happened 7 years prior, like infidelities and things like that. But she wanted to believe it.
Nicole's mother also tried to overlook a lot of the bad because she was happy that Nicole had become entangled with such a successful all-American hero.
And then the things that he would do to annoy Judy, she would just blow it off.
The dark truth was that O.J. had Nicole pinned right where he wanted her, and she was at his mercy.
He had turned her into the perfect wife, and that's what he expected out of her.
Despite this, Nicole's friends commended her for her refusal to cower or give up her voice. This fairy tale illusion was fragile and bound to dissolve.
And she knew in her heart that she didn't want to be controlled, and she knew that he was controlling her.
And so, she filed for divorce in 1992, seeking out a new nest for herself and her kids. Nicole actually reconciled with O.J. While the divorce was very public, Nicole's reconciliation with O.J. was a quiet but shocking twist. In all actuality, they started to see each other again because O.J. had been stalking and threatening Nicole. She genuinely feared for her family's safety, so she tried to placate him.
I saw him last night in the bush. I don't want to get him, too upset, because he's watching all the time.
But this second chance didn't last long, as the abuse ramped up again and Nicole was forced to call 911. This concerning decision to take O.J. back suggests not only her desperation, but the lack of support and resources for those suffering from domestic violence at the time. Nicole predicted her own death. In one of the most disturbing scenes of the documentary, a family friend reveals that Nicole had actually predicted that O.J. would kill her. He'd put this idea in her head by repeatedly threatening her life, but she even forecasted the manner in which he would execute it.
Nicole said at that dinner she had fears of being attacked from behind and being slashed by a knife.
Tragically, in June of 1994, Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman were discovered outside her home with fatal stab wounds. Nicole left behind a secret diary. Because she was so fearful of what O.J. might do to her, Nicole wisely documented evidence of his violent outbursts with Polaroid photographs and journal entries that described every ordeal.
Nicole's secret journal is a diary of hate and violence.
This secret diary would be discovered in a safe deposit box right before the trial, surely a key piece of evidence for the prosecutors. The messages from the grave poked holes in O.J.'s planned defense, ultimately opening the floodgates for witnesses who came forward to validate her writings. Yet shockingly, Nicole's own words were barred from court, as they were determined to be, quote, inadmissible hearsay.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Nicole's death inspired advocacy. In response to the verdict and mistreatment of Nicole's memory, her sisters and many others made it their mission to advocate for Nicole. Her legacy was championed through campaigns to raise awareness about domestic violence and to create a system for reporting it.
I hope that by keeping her memory alive, the person that she really was, it could help someone else out there that is another Nicole.
Through books, TV appearances, and grassroots work, the fight to educate the public about the reality of Nicole's tragic story is still underway. And the life and murder of Nicole Brown Simpson serves as another tool in this battle. By collectively celebrating Nicole for the woman she truly was, the healing process can finally begin.
I want to exercise from my mind a girl laying on the sidewalk in a little black dress and a pool of blood, because that's not who she was.
It's only through appreciating the authentic life she lived that we can truly seek some form of justice for her untimely end.
I would like Nicole to be remembered for a beautiful, vibrant daughter, wife, mother, and someone to be admired for all her good qualities.
Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.